Right, man, things happen.
Right? I know. And it's Monday, so things are prone to happen even more. All right, let's pull up Slack here. Okay, extra questions. Cool. We are recording. All right, happy Monday, everybody. Perfect. All right, so yeah, happy Monday. Happy cold, snowy Monday for the people who are in this snowstorm blizzard that just seems to be getting worse as the day goes on. I thought it was going to stop here in the afternoon, but it did not.
I know, right? You ain't
Yeah,
the only
I
one.
was like, oh, perfect. Yeah, so I do apologize. I'm not going to be my upbeat self. I'm a little under the weather today, so I'm probably going to be just as peppy. But I might do a couple of sniffles or coughs here and there. I think I got a cold over the weekend, probably from the cold. So
Yeah.
just a small disclaimer there. If I just seem like I'm staring off into space, it's really just me. Kind of just a little bit of congestion. Anyway, so let's hop into it. Today, we're going to be going over Thymeleaf views, just like we've been discussing previous, or just a little bit more before class. There was a lot of reading that we had to do in order to get through this chapter, but we also had videos. So hopefully everyone enjoyed the videos, enjoyed the content, because we're going to be diving into this. Honestly, I felt like Bob Ross was appropriate here because we're going to be doing Thymeleaf views. So we get to go back into HTML, we get to do our own painting, and we get to make happy mistakes of all this coding. So let's go ahead and dive into making some happy mistakes. Before we do that, we're of course always do the announcements. I actually do have a few here today for you all. First things first, I told this in the very beginning of class, but I just want to bring it back up here, is that, again, this is my first time truly teaching a cohort for LC 101. So I'm always learning, always trying to figure out how to better my content, better the classes, to engage you individually as the student, as well as a whole. So please feel free to share your comments and suggestions on lecture with me, or any of the content that's associated with it that I put on the YouTube channel, or even the slides. Feel free to reach out to me directly and definitely talk to me about it. I'm absolutely open to criticism. I'm never going to get mad for someone just telling me that they don't like something. That's completely fine. So just please let me know so I can always keep trying to engage you better and just make the presentations a little bit more exciting for you. Second, I'm going to be going off the grid. It is one of my pastimes. I like to just get out of technology because I'm always immersed in it. So my next off the grid cycle is going to be February 23rd to March 2nd here, but I will be here for lecture. So I will be online for lecture. I won't always be on Slack. I won't always be on my phone because Mother Nature is going to be challenging me somewhere warmer, which I'm really excited about. So just letting you guys know that, yeah, I might not be able to respond immediately back then, and I might not be available for one-on-one time during these times, but I will try to open it up as much as possible. Finally, no lecture on Monday. So that will be a working day for your assignment 3, which brings me to that point. Don't forget about assignment 3. At this point, you should at least, very least, be reading the assignment and on average, just starting to engage with the material and see what you need to know in order to complete assignment 3. So no lecture on Monday. Take this time to ask those questions to your TAs, to work on assignment 3, etc. Then finally, if you haven't noticed, I have not put out the studio video there. And again, I do apologize for that lateness. Work has been a little bit more extra lately. So the next studio video for that, for this studio that you guys are going to be doing tonight will also be a little delayed. I do have all those recordings available. I just got to edit them and get it out there. But because I know that some people might have questions and just kind of want to go through the solution, I will be online starting at 8 p.m. tonight until about 8:30 or 9, whatever we need to go over the studio. So I'll be putting that link out there, just making a small announcement. I'm going to hop back on this studio, or not the studio. I'm going to be hopping back on this Zoom call to answer any questions we have about the studio. So feel free to join that at 8 p.m. tonight. Okay, that all being said, any questions, anything that you guys want to talk about? Because next up, we get to dive into some material. All right, let's get to it. Let's hop back into now what we talked about last lecture, but 2 lectures ago, and what you've been getting more immersed in as you've been working through these exercises, which is classes, controllers, and all that MVC fun stuff. But to begin, let's just start out with something that we've seen from the very beginning. What do I want to do if I want to build a class called cat controller? How do I start this out? Can someone tell me?
Controller.
So if we're creating a class, what was that?
Public class cat controller.
Very good. To start out a class, we always use the keyword public or accessor, the keyword class to define that it's going to be a class, and then cat controller. This is how we build a class. How, and I feel like someone already said this, how would you turn this cat controller into an actual controller? What do we need to add to this?
Age controller on the top of the class.
Very
Yeah.
good. And what is this called?
The annotation.
Annotation.
Awesome, the annotation. Moving on, if we wanted to add, or what do I need to add to create a route for /cats? Well, how would I create a route called /cats? What do I need to do that just presents HTML? What do I need to put here? What was it?
Get mapping.
Very good, get mapping. Yes, absolutely. And we're going to just be getting HTML here. We're just going to be viewing a page, no actions required. So here, you're absolutely correct. We're going to do a get mapping annotation with, in the parentheses, in the quotes, say cats. This defines a route that we can do a get request to get some HTML, which leads me to my next question. What's the second annotation we need to use on this method to return a string that has HTML in it?
At response body.
Very good. At response body. This lets our compiler know, it lets our controller know that this method will return a string of some variety. In this case, it's going to be HTML, but we can also just return normal strings as well. Any questions about our controller here? All right, so let's move on to one more question then. What if we wanted to take in a parameter? In this case, we have type equals calico. What would we add to our method?
Is this the model?
No, not necessarily. We're just reviewing material from 2 lectures ago. This one, we're taking in a parameter, a request parameter. So what annotation?
At request param.
Request param.
Very good. Absolutely. At request param, and then type. What this does is allows that parameter we see at the top here, type equals calico, to come into our method. Without this, we can't get that information back. So this is extremely important to see, as also we're going to utilize this far into the future. So it's great that we understand it. So any questions about this in particular? All right, let's keep going. So we're going to have here a text box, and this text box name is going to be cat type. Now just stick with me here and just kind of this hypothetical kind of HTML here that we're doing. And I'm going to type in calico into this text box and then click search. Can someone tell me what kind of mapping do we use for this?
This post mapping.
Very good. It's a post mapping. Awesome job. We put the annotation above that method at post mapping for cats. Why do we do post mapping? Because we just did an action. We clicked a button. That button, the click of a button, is an action on our website. When that happens, we need to send a post mapping back to our controller. Sorry, St. Louis, of course, always burns down for some reason right when I'm doing this. They haven't been noisy all day, so if you guys hear that, I do apologize. Okay, so this is also very important because this is the other request that we're going to be dealing with in a controller. So we did our get mapping, and now we're doing a post mapping. So any questions about any of this? All right. In this case, then, we're going to go ahead real quick and just build our cat controller here. If my IntelliJ, oh, that's why it's like, why aren't you working with me? There we go. So we're going to come in here, we're going to do our Java class, and we're going to say cat controller. Now, can someone remind me what the annotation I need to put above this class in order to make it a controller?
At controller.
Very good. Coming into here, I want to create just a method that takes in a GET request. So what annotation should I start with?
Get mapping.
Very good at GET mapping. Then what's that second annotation we are always doing right now?
Response body.
Response body, to tell that my method is, to tell my compiler or my controller that my method's going to return something of value that we need to put as a response. Public string, show me some cats. There we go. And in here, I'm going to just provide a little bit of HTML. As we always start out, HTML, start out body, enter. I'm going to do an H1 here, cats/H1. Then I always close my HTML body. Oop, let me do body /HTML. And now, there we go. All right, so we just created a simple controller that will take in, oh, I forgot one thing. What did I forget here? Can anyone spot what I might have forgotten if I want to just create a route for cats?
Cat, the name, and quote.
Very good, absolutely. We need to put cats up there. Completely forgot that. So this is our GET request provider in our controller. So it's going to get back, or it's going to, we're going to send a GET request over to our controller, and it's going to be like, okay, you want to get cats because you said /cats, and I'm going to return you this HTML. As always, we just run this real quick. And let's hope I don't have I don't think I'm running anything else on another. Uh-oh. Oh, might be. I was running a test. I apologize. There we go. What am I doing? Wow, I am under the weather today. To run our Gradle test, we always go to Gradle. We go to Application. We double-click Boot Run, just to make sure that we're running from the right place. There we go. Now we're actually going to get this up and running. All right, it's going to build our stuff. It's going to come down here, and it's going to say that it failed because somebody else right now is using my ports. So I need to stop that server up there. There we go. All right, let's try that again. So if you ever do see that error that it says someone's already listening on port 8080, that means you have just another program somewhere, another application that's already running, most likely another Spring Boot application. So if you ever see that error that we just saw on our screen, that definitely is most likely the case. Okay, so now we're actually started here. So let me go ahead and grab a browser. Perfect. And we're going to type in localhost.
What are waffle shops?
That is nothing to do with programming. So we're going to have cats here, and we have cats H1. A friend of mine called me and asked me as they were driving what they had to get from for a 21st birthday party. So that is where they're coming from. Apparently they are, I don't even know. Anyway, so minimizing that. There we go. Okay, so as we saw, we got cats back. So we got cats back in H1. So this is working properly. So any questions about what we just did with cat controller? Okay, sounds good. So we're gonna move on. This is all just a review of things we did 2 lectures ago. So now we're gonna just go ahead and make sure that our head is at where it needs to be for annotations. So let's go ahead and do that now. Can you guys tell me, if I want to create a mapping that shows just HTML, something that we just did, what annotation would I use?
At get mapping?
Very good, at get mapping. This is when we would just want to show a website, not when an action is performed. Who can tell me, if I want to make a class a controller, what annotation do I use now?
At controller.
Very good, at controller. If I want to create a JUnit test, what annotation do I use?
At test.
At test.
Very good, at test. If I want to create a mapping that accepts data after a button click or any kind of action,
At
what
post
annotation?
mapping.
Very good, at post mapping. If I want to customize the equals method,
It or
at override, very good. I want to accept a path variable in my parameters.
At path variable.
at param.
Very good. And if anyone needs a refresher of what that looks like, this is what it looks like. Say we just have a get mapping, our path variable would go right there in the parameters itself, that annotation. Oh, and then I forgot a data type for my var, but that path variable annotation is there, and just pretend a string is between that and my var. Final question, I want to run some code before all my tests are run. What annotation would I use then?
At before?
At before.
Very good, at before. Awesome job, everybody. So if there's no questions about this, let's go ahead and move on here. So we're now diving more deeply, like we said today, into HTML. So we're just gonna go through HTML as always. What are those tags that we always use to start building a website?
HTML.
HTML.
Very good, always using these HTML tags. What is the tags that indicate the start of the things that we see?
Body.
Body tag.
Very good, our body tags. This is what we actually see on our website. How do we create a header text of cats with the size of 1?
H1.
Very good, H1 cats exclamation point. This is producing a header of size 1 called cats. Exactly what we saw over here. The highest level of text we possibly can get without having to go into CSS. Now, when we do this, we already see that we can start making a pretty decent website here. We can maybe add a description. So we have our cats website, welcome to the greatest cats page on earth. Then we can start adding more depth into our page, making more paragraphs. We can add images, we can add articles and blog posts, etc. Essentially, what we're seeing here is that our HTML can grow very quickly. And most of the websites you see today, especially like Wikipedia or any of your favorite blog posts or news sites, those are not very small. As of right now, we've only made small HTML bits here. But as we know, typical HTML sites are a little bit larger than just 3 or 4 lines of code. Even more so, if we try to put all of this into a controller here, this controller is going to grow very, very large. And this essentially is just gonna skyrocket. Basically just make your controller way too big to even handle. And also, not to even mention, it's all in a string, so it's hard to read. IntelliJ can't make heads or tails of it. You don't get any helpful hints like you did back in Visual Code days. So it's just not a fun way to do this. And you probably already have noticed this, that this is not a fun way to design HTML. So wouldn't it be great if there was just something out there that would make life just a bit more easy? And as you probably already guessed from the title of this entire lecture, there absolutely is. Thymeleaf provides a thing called templates. Templates, whenever you hear that name, just think of them more as just an individual or a separate HTML file that we're going to build to host or to house our HTML that we want to provide to our users. So seeing template here, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's just take a look at what a template kind of looks like. As you've already told me, to start out any website, which again, a template is just another website, an HTML website, we provide the HTML tags. Now comes to the very important part about templates. We need one very special thing, which goes up in the head. We have an attribute called XMLNS, :th, and then we provide the Thymeleaf org website. This is telling our template that, hey, this is for Thymeleaf. I'm going to be doing some cool things with Thymeleaf in here, so you better be ready. That's what this specific line is doing. After this, we typically build our website just as normal. We put in our title up there, we can put in that /head, then we come down here to the body. And we build it just as normal. We put in our cats, we can put in our H3, welcome to the greatest cat page, and then we can put in some paragraphs, etc., images, articles. This right here is a very basic template. So It shouldn't look like anything new except for that header at the very top with that XML and S. So we shouldn't be too scared of this just yet. Better yet, we also have to give it a name. So in this case, I'm going to name this one index.html. Now, you might have seen this in your exercises as well as your projects, and even your assignment, and probably on other websites too. Index.html. Index is a very popular name. Index indicates to us that this is your home page, your typical root directory, if you will. The bare basic homepage that you want to provide to your user is called index.html. That's what this is. So you'll see this in most applications, especially website applications. So going back to our template, we still have this large body of code down here in our return statement. And we want to get rid of it in place of index.html. So we have to do two major things. The first thing we have to do is that we have to replace this large HTML with the word index. We basically lose the .html and just put index in there. This was the first big step. The second big step is that we need to remove the response body. We remove that and just put the get mapping annotation up there, because we're going to let Thymeleaf worry about the response body in its magic. So we don't need to say there's a response body coming from this. Instead, we're saying index, so Thymeleaf and Spring go out and get our template and inject our HTML here instead. Now, this is the very basics and the starting point of templates and how to use them within our controller. So are there any questions about this? All right, let's keep moving on. Oh, I'm sorry, Eric, what's going on? Does it work with WordPress? Is that your question? Okay, so WordPress is a different kind of machine that runs typically on a language called PHP. So what we use is MVC with Spring Boot. So the languages are, and the architecture is not truly compatible. So my answer would be, from what I know and my knowledge of WordPress and MVC, the answer would be probably not. However, somebody somewhere is probably find some kind of magic to combine the two technologies. So I would definitely do some research, but generally they weren't built for each other. Awesome. All right, let's continue on. So now that we have this index in here, what this corresponds to directly is that index.html template that we created with all of that HTML. So think about this, whenever this get mapping gets triggered, AKA I go to cats or my homepage, excuse me, this HTML here will directly get injected to our screen. Don't believe me? Let's try it out. Let's go ahead and bring in Thymeleaf into our application here. Now, I'm using this application that we built a few lectures ago using Spring Boot. So I don't actually have Thymeleaf in here yet, so I'm gonna have to do that. So what I do is I go over to my build Gradle, and really what I'm gonna do is copy this implementation here. I'm gonna come down here, press enter, and instead of web, it's just starter Thymeleaf, T-H-Y-M-E-L-E-F. There we go, and then I save this, and I see a little button up here that says rebuild my Gradle. So I'm gonna press that because Gradle needs to now go out and get what I need, AKA Thymeleaf, so I can do some Thymeleaf applications. So let that thing build. We can see it go down here doing its job. And while it's doing that, we're gonna go ahead and get ready for some Thymeleaf. So I see I have 2 folders in here already, which was honestly a complete mistake. Did not even know I had these already in here. We have static and templates. Now, if I need to create a template, almost slightly self-explanatory that we need to put it into the templates directory. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna say new file, and then index.html. And now I'm gonna go ahead and start creating my template. XNLNS TH. .org. Oops. My title and what do I have? Yep, thank you very much. And I just can't type today. There we go. Flash in, body. All right. So here we go. And we said we just want to do our H1, and I'm just going to do cats again here. And just to make sure that we're actually getting something, I'm going to put down here our H3 and then my awesome cats page. Now, one thing about live demos is, does it work? So let's go ahead over to cat controller and take out response body. Remember, big step one. And what was our second step we have to do here? What do we need to do in order to have Thymeleaf inject our HTML into this get mapping?
Return
Tell me.
index.
Sweet,
index.
very good. Absolutely, I'm gonna put index right here. Now, like I said, it's gonna be my home page. I want it to be my home page. Now, take very close attention to this. What I'm gonna do is that I'm just gonna have empty quotes here, or better yet, no parentheses at all. By default, Spring is going to say that this is your home page. When no one types in anything, aka just localhost :8080, I'm going to assume they mean they want this get mapping. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now I need to rerun my application. And let's see what happens here. All right, we started up. Come over to cats. Cats no longer exists because we got rid of that get mapping. This one, like you said, we need to go to the home page. And there we go. I got it. We have cats at the top and my awesome cats page as an H3 right below it at our home page here. Now we just did a lot of things. So any confusion or questions kind of about what we just did with any of that code and how we got here right now?
Quick question. They were talking about you could save templates like your beginning stage, just body, the URL at the top, that kind of thing. I'm not seeing how you save it. They gave instructions, but I'm assuming that's for an older version of IntelliJ.
Yeah, I also had kind of weird things about that. So if you come over to an IntelliJ, and then let me know if everyone can't see this. I go to preferences. Can you guys see the preferences box here?
Yes.
Okay, so if you come up to editor and you go down to file and code templates here, this is where you can add new templates at. So I say plus, and they called it Thymeleaf. And then, oh, I gotta go get that code. Crud, give me 1 second. Copy that. But one thing I have not gotten, and if any of the TAs or anybody out there knows how to do it, I have never used the template feature, which it looks very useful. THYMELEF. So I put my code in there. And I apply that.
Extension.
What was that?
Extension, you change it. HTML, I think.
Oh, thank you. Actually, yes. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, there we go. I can't get it on my my new. Whenever I go to new, I can't get that template down there. I have not figured out how to do it. So if anyone knows how to, please do share. Feel free to throw it in the chat on Stack Overflow. But this is how you add the template here into your IntelliJ. Jay, did you see that? Oh, Kim, what's up?
Sorry. This is how you do it, I think. This is how I did it the other day with one of the TAs, and then it finally showed up in my drop-down menu.
Oh, okay. So I press OK here, and then let's go and see if it worked then. New. Awesome, it does. Cool. Okay, never mind, guys. I totally know how to do it. Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much, Kim. Yeah, that makes it a lot easier. So let's go ahead and we're not going to use that just yet because we have our Thymeleaf here, but we're going to use it here shortly. So Jay, great question. Yeah, Kim, what's up?
Sorry, you said by default, if you take away the indexing kind of after get mapping, and you take that away, you said by default it does what? What action?
Absolutely. So going here into cat controller, if you take away this get mapping as in no parentheses here, it's going to assume you mean the home directory. It's going to assume you mean localhost 8080 only. No slash and stuff behind it, just localhost 8080.
Thank you.
Absolutely. If I do want to put a directory under there, but I want to put all my directories under all the get mappings, as always, if you've seen it in the movie or in the videos as well, you can put up here and I can say cats. And so everything under here, did I do that wrong? What am I doing wrong?
You have a
do wrong. I'm completely doing this wrong. For some reason. Okay. We're going to come back to that later. Okay. So this is our get mapping. We're just doing the index here. We're doing that for the templates. And then, yeah, so we're injecting that HTML in there. Any other questions surrounding this? Okay. Awesome, awesome. So we're going to come back over here. And so now that we are able to create HTML and templates, let's take it one step further. So if we have our cat controller once more, and we have a cat controller that shows HTML, that's awesome, but we typically have a lot of data flowing through our applications. So in one example, what if we wanted to add a list of favorite cats to this page? Who can tell me what the first thing we need to do here at the very top is if we want to create a list? What do we put?
Use an OL tag.
So OL tags, or any tags in general, can only be inserted in HTML. Here, we're dealing strictly with Java.
Oh, that says an HTML. What am I doing?
Completely fine. In Java, what do we need to do to build a list?
Add a list.
Array list? Yes, very good. So we need to put array list here. Array list, and then we're going to take in, why am I doing that? Give me 1 second. We put an array list with only one string in there. I don't know why in my mind I was trying to build a hash map there. We take in the strings, which are going to be cat names or cat types. I'm going to say favorite cats and then build that new array list. And then I'm going to add 3 different types of cats here that I want to put into this list: Calico, Siamese, and Persian. So the question we might be asking ourselves now is that how exactly do we take this list that we just built in Java and put it or inject it into our HTML inside of our template? Well, one way we exactly do that is that we are going to be using a new variable or a new parameter inside of these mappings. That particular parameter is called a model. As we see up here, we inserted model into our parameters. One big call out here is that this should not be mixed up. This should not be mixed up with the M in MVC. This model and the models we're going to talk about in our next few chapters or our next few lectures are not the same thing. So don't assume or don't really try to associate them. It's really bad naming convention. Model here, think of it more as the connection between your HTML template and Java. It is that messenger between the two. And we're going to see how that exactly works. So if I want to take this list and send it over to my HTML for my template to use, what I do first is I put model.add_attribute. This is saying I want to add a specific attribute to my template so I can use it over there. The first parameter that we put in here is the actual name of what we want to call this attribute. In this case, I'm going to call it cats. The second thing that we put in here is what we want to pass over. This can be anything. This can be any kind of object that we absolutely want. The left-hand side is the attribute name, which has to be a string, and the right-hand side can be anything, can be an object. In this case, it's a list or an array list called favorite cats. Once we do this, it sends it over to our index.html for that template to use. Any questions on what we just did here with Java? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look then. Once we send it over to the HTML, over to our template, how do we exactly use it? So we'll bring back that original code that we had earlier. In this case, I have my H3 here, but now instead of that paragraph we had originally, I'm gonna say H5, my favorite cats. And I'm gonna have an unordered list. Matt, you called this out previously. You're absolutely right. We wanna have an OL or a UL here. I'm gonna just have it unordered, so I'm gonna say UL. I'm gonna have all my cats in there, since they're all the same to me. And then now I wanna start building this list into my HTML. So the first thing I'm gonna put in here is a TH block. Now you might have seen this in your readings, or you might be new to it. So this might be just a little bit out of the ordinary. We haven't seen an HTML tag just like this. That's because it's not necessarily HTML at all. This is Thymeleaf at work. And let's see how exactly it does work. We have that TH block that we just saw in there. And then just like typical HTML, we can throw things inside of here. What the magic of this TH block is that when we build this HTML and we actually render the HTML that our user sees, that TH block disappears. It's basically like a carrier or some kind of just compartment that transfers things over into HTML and then disappears. But the benefit is that we can build things inside of it, but we haven't really seen that benefit just yet. So why are these even helpful? So let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into what they do. We come back to that original HTML. And what we're gonna do is that we're gonna add more things onto this TH block tag that we just created. I'm gonna add the TH each and then a couple other things here that we haven't seen yet. So let's go ahead and take a look at each individual one real quick. Kim, to answer your question, so the question was, is there much difference between using array list string equals new array list and list name equals new name? I don't think list name equals new name would exactly work. But looking at the general term list is the more generic version of array list. So there would be some pros and cons to doing it that way. If we have time at the end, we can absolutely. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. I didn't mean to put new name, I meant new list, but yeah. Okay, I understand.
Just want to make sure. Okay, yeah, list is more generic, so there are some extra difficulties to it. So we can talk about that if we do have time here in a future lecture for sure, or just feel free to chat with me offline about that.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So looking at this HTML that we're on here, the first thing that we see is this TH each. So real quickly, before anybody is too scared of it, like I was when I first saw Thymeleaf when I started working with it, this is just like a for each loop. That's all this annotation is. It's saying that we're gonna be doing a loop inside of this block. That's what I want this block to do, act like a loop. And as we know, all for loops or all for each loops they need some kind of a list or an array to loop through. So that's exactly what we're providing it here. We provide this cats variable here. And if you remember, we got this cats variable when we injected this attribute by using that model.add attribute cats with our favorite cats inside of it. That's what this cats variable is. The cat, the singular cat on the left-hand side of that column, or that colon, is each individual cat coming out so we can do something with it. What we want to do with it is that we want to build a list item with that individual cat. So what we do is that we use list item, li, and then we inject that cat into the text of this li element using Thymeleaf once again. We see that th text. This is how we inject text into an element in Thymeleaf with HTML. So this was a lot here. And Thymeleaf can just be a little a little much at first, just seeing all these new attributes coming out and then what do they exactly do? So let's take a closer dive into what we just did there inside of that block. We have the TH block, we have our TH each, and our cat with all of our cats that are passed in from that model. Then inside of it, we put that LI element, TH text equals cat. For your reference and for mine, this is the list of those cats that we had previously, Calico, Siamese, and Persian. And so let's see what it exactly does when we put this Thymeleaf stuff in here. First, it's gonna go to Calico, and it's gonna start building our HTML. And it's gonna create a list item that says Calico inside of it. We're gonna loop again, because we have 3 cat names to go through. It's gonna go to Siamese. And it's going to then output that LI Siamese element. Finally, of course, it's going to go to Persian and do it once again. Create that list item that says Persian. So after building, using this TH block, the TH each, and the TH text on the left-hand side, the right-hand side is what is output. So any questions about this?
Can you put a default name in the tag, in the list tag?
You absolutely can, and great question. So TH text just tells it what I want to inject into it. But what if cat, for whatever reason, ended up being null or undefined or something, and you wanted that default, what the question just asked? What you want to do is that you just want to input, you'd want to input text into here as your default. So if you put it between this LI tags here, technically that would be your default text. Let's see, right, default. So does that answer your question, Corey?
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
We didn't have to do like an if statement if we, if there wasn't text there.
No. Yeah, luckily it's even easier than that. We can just add the default text here between the tags. Jay, I see you're typing. Any question here? You aren't. Oh, I got it off Google. No, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not a real cat lover. I don't have any cats. I grew up as a dog and a gerbil person. I apologize. I'll correct that for future lectures. Thank you very much. All right, any other questions? Okay. So let's keep going. Let's see if I can turn off my pen. There we go. All right. Okay, so real quick, we're going to add this code into our example here that we're doing. Okay, so like we said, we want to build a list of cats here. It's gonna be an array list of strings. Cat types, this new array list. All right, cat types, and then we're gonna add, what were they again? They were Calico. And calling out Jay here, how do I spell Siamese?
S-I-A.
S-I-A, oh, okay, it's right there, M-E-S-E. It was honestly one of the hardest words I had to spell out in this entire lecture. I had to keep looking it up, and I even still spelled it wrong. All right, cat types, dot add, and then Persian, P-O-S. Awesome. All right, so we added our array list here. And so who can tell me what the next step is to inject this list into our template? What do we have to do?
Model dot add attribute.
Model.
So
Yeah,
that was definitely the second step. The first thing we need is, yeah, exactly, that model. So up here, we include model inside of our parameters. Come on. All right, so once we do that, I heard the answer previously. What do we do down here?
Model dot add attribute.
Very good. right, and then in the first one, we put in our string that we want the variable to be called, which is cats, and then cat types. All right. Now that we have that, let's hop over to our index and see what we need to do here. So automagically, what happens when you inject that attribute into your model there is that it gets delivered over here to index.html. Like we said, we want to come down here and we want to build an H5. We say my cats list. And we're going to go ahead and build that cats list. So who can tell me what I need to start with first in order to start building this list? It's going to be an unordered list. So what do we start with?
Well,
UL, very good. All right, and then what do we place inside of this UL? What do we need to start doing?
LI.
Not just LI yet. We need to loop.
TH block.
Very good, TH block. We need to start looping through these. Okay, so we have our TH block. And then,
TH:H.
very good.
Equals cat : $, in parentheses cat.
Very good. Why am I just showing up like that? I do not know. Did I spell that version wrong? You're just being weird. We'll talk about it in a second. Okay, and then inside of here in our TH, I'm sorry?
Sorry. You don't need doc type on top?
I'm gonna add it just in case. Technically, it is good standard to do so. So I will do that here in a moment. Well, we're gonna finish this up real quick. So we need to put in here our list item, which starts with
Is it
LI, very good. And then how do we inject text inside of a Thymeleaf element?
it TH:text?
Very good, absolutely correct. This is how we inject text into our list or into our TH elements. So now what we need to do is that we have to tell it what text we want to inject. If I just put cat here, technically our list item will just inject the word cat over and over into our list items. We need to tell it we want the cat variable specifically. And how do we do that? Very good. $, and then one more thing.
Cat in parentheses.
Awesome job.
Squiggly.
Virtual high five. There we go. Okay, so we have our cat variable coming in and we're going through each list item. All right, let me go ahead and fix our TH here because that's just not fun. Oh, no. Oh my gosh, I had this all. Okay, my stuff is completely wrong today. As I said previously, I do apologize. Bit under the weather tonight. The namespaces, I don't know why I believe that. They go in the header. They definitely go into the HTML. So your namespace, this XML and S :th will definitely go up inside that HTML element, not inside the head element. Again, I do apologize for that mistake. So when you see that template, it should be up here in this HTML tag. Any questions about that, or anybody that I might have confused just a bit more about that specifically?
Real quick, is it HTTPS or just TTP, or does it matter?
Let's take a look.
And
I'm going to. What was that?
It still worked.
It does still work? Okay. As the example, since it does not work.
Oh, I meant that it obviously did work whenever you had it in the head tag.
Oh, I wasn't actually using any TH elements just yet. So we're actually going to see if this does work. So it did just compile. Let's go ahead and see here. It looks like it does still work. But I am still going to go with the standard of how they're doing it on the videos. That take off that S. Let's just keep it HTTP. Hey, it's one less character we have to type, so it saves us some time. So we'll just stick with that. All right. So any questions about what we just did? Just because we have a small namespace issue up here, that doesn't change anything that we just did in the UL blocks or that TH block. So any questions about that TH block, how we're injecting data?
How can you determine when to use TH blocks?
For sure. This example would be a premier one to do for sure, is when you're looping through data. TH blocks are also really good for when you want to do if statements to show things or maybe not show things. Those if statements being, say, you pass in another variable. We'll do a quick example here. Say TH block, and we say TH if, and then we type in our conditional here. Say, what if I passed in, oh, I don't even know. Let's say our cats, or what is dog, or something like that, an is dog Boolean into our attributes. So if it is a dog, then you're gonna say a very mean greeting saying, what are you doing here? Because this is for cats only, right? Cats only in this page. So this is another example of what we would use a TH block for, is you wanna put a conditional here to show something. So what this is gonna do is that if our is dog attribute is true, it will show this H2. If it is false, then it will not show our H2. So a TH block is really good at providing dynamic structure to your website.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Absolutely.
What are you checking if again on that? So if TH is dog, are you?
Very good. Technically, I'm not checking it against anything because I haven't provided that attribute here yet. So I'm going to say is dog, and I'm going to say in the first case, false. So our is dog is false. I'm going to restart this. And then what do we expect here?
Nothing.
Nothing, no change at all. So wait, let me make sure. Come on, computer. There we go. All right, restart. No change at all. We come back here, we place in true. And we refresh. Do once more. And we come in here, we refresh again. And now it's like, I don't know exactly know what the equivalent of I guess it would be a hiss, wouldn't it? I was like, what's the equivalent of a bark from a cat? A hiss. Should have just said hiss here. But anyway, yeah, pretend this is their hiss because our attribute was now true. We passed in true here, that is dog, true. We go over to our index. This is our conditional. So if is dog is true, then we show this H2. What are you doing here? So this is a way we can use that if block. And to answer your question, what is it checking against? It's checking against that is dog attribute here in that if statement. So any questions about this specifically? Great questions here. Eric, can you elaborate a little bit more on your question there?
Sure. It looks like you could use this instead of CSS to control media queries. Like, you know, if you wanted it to run against tablet, phone, laptop, what have you.
Technically, you would use it in combination with CSS. CSS has that power to do the customization on your website. Thymeleaf would be more of the gatekeeper of what CSS you would use for tablet, for mobile, for a desktop application.
Yeah, that's what
you'd actually use them in combination.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Good.
Cool. Great question. Okay. So if there's no questions about, oh, Matt, what's up?
So this is not really, but so the TH if flag then is default true.
No, it would not be default by true. Technically, the default for Booleans is false.
Okay.
So the reason why we are seeing it in this example, we're seeing it here right now, is because that we were passing in our cat controller true into this attribute.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So we'll either get false back or we're gonna get yelled at here. So let's see what we're gonna get. So if we don't pass back any attribute, let's go ahead and see real quick what happens there. Oh, it's still building, aren't you? Of course you are. Let's see what we get. We don't get back anything because it is coming back in as false. So it's going to see that conditional is dog is, excuse me, technically null. Null is technically false. Therefore, we will not see this block of code.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know where my brain is tonight either.
It's that snow. You know what? That's what it is. It's the snow that's affecting us. Not a worry, not a problem.
Because yeah, that makes perfect sense now.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Let's hop back here and we're going to do just a few extra things here. We're going to talk about what we need to do if we had to finish this code. So looking at this example code here, we're just going to finish it up just a bit, just to make sure that everything's cemented in our heads from this lecture and a few past ones. First things first, if we want to pass the attribute named treat into a template here, we've seen it a few times now, what do we need to do on this extra line? What do we need to start with?
Model.add attribute.
Very good. And then if we wanted to call it treat, what do we have to put in the first parameter?
Quotation treat.
Very good. Absolutely. Put in quotations treat. And then what do we put in the second parameter?
My treat.
Very good. My treat. This is how we would do that. All right. On to the next one. What if we have a GET request, return a template named treatslist.html? What would we have to return here in this GET mapping?
Return whatever.
Sorry, say that one more time.
Return treat list? I mean,
very good. It would be return treat list. We drop the HTML and we return treats list. So this is what we would return if we wanted to hook up that template to this GET mapping. Any questions about this? All right, let's keep going. What if I wanted to inject the text from the treat attribute we did above using the Thymeleaf into a P tag, into a paragraph tag? What would be our line? What would it look like?
TH text.
P tag, TH text.
I would start with P.
Very good. I've heard all the pieces there. So we start with the P for paragraph. TH colon text equals $, curly brackets with the treat inside of it. This is how we do that. Any questions about that? All right. If we want to bring in the properties and methods of the class pet into the cat class, what do we type?
Cat extends pet.
Very good. Public class cat extends pet.
Oh yeah.
What if we wanted to do an interface? What word would we use there?
Implements.
Very good. Implements. How would if we loop through an array list that's passed as an attribute to a template? What would we use?
TH each.
Very good. TH each. And right now, what have we only used it in? What's the annotation?
block.
TH block. Very good. So we're going to say TH block, then TH each with that item colon $, the list. We didn't give any of these any of these variable names. They're just arbitrary names here for this example. But this is how we would use the TH each here. to loop through those items of the list.
Quick question for
Yeah.
the item in the list. So the list is the actual variable or actual item, right? And
Very good.
The item is just a placeholder name, like it could be anything pretty much.
Absolutely. Item is an arbitrary name. You can name it whatever you want. It's just a variable. Just a variable.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So, like, can we use th each other than th block? I mean, can we loop in p?
The offense is outdated. Analytics.
Yes. Yes. Technically, yes, you can. So if we wanted to come back over to this example, and then let me make sure that I'm not going crazy, but yeah. Come on. Yeah, mouse. There we go. Yeah, come back. We come over here, go to our cat controller, not our cat controller, we need to go to index. Let's see what happens if we do this. So we just consolidate it just a bit, stop it, rerun it. Run this. Oh my gosh, every time I look outside, it is just deeper snow. Luckily, I'm on the 4th floor, or else I would be snowed in here probably halfway through the week. All right, there we go. We're started up. Go ahead and refresh this. Looks a little different, but essentially, yes, technically you can still loop through them. But let's see what's exactly different here. Come into our body, and what we see is that it loops through and puts in those tags, those UL tags. So what this did was that it built a new one of these every time it looped through. So it just created you 3 separate lists instead of 3 separate list items. So the answer to your question is yes, but it comes with a small caveat. It's going to copy whatever tag that it's in and copy that with it as it loops through.
Okay, got it. And also, it is like taking more space in the memory if we don't use the T block, because it repeats every time, or like,
say that one more time.
Okay, so is here like the meter of the memory, like if we use with a UL tag rather than T block, like right now that we are using, is it taking more space in memory? Like, is there any sense like that or not?
So it's not really about the memory, it's about how it comes out. So we wanted to make one list with 3 items. And what we ended up doing it this way, is that we created 3 lists with 1 item. So it's not about the memory at all. This one's about just how it will look to our user. It's not going to look how they expect.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So it is not about like it is getting more space than T block. I mean, in the web page.
yeah. Essentially, don't even worry about the memory here. It has
Okay.
nothing. Yeah. It's more with HTML, especially definitely not too much more about the memory. It's more about how your user wants to see it. That's where the priorities lie with HTML for sure more.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm gonna go and change that back real quick, for example. And then any final questions here for this? All righty. So that will come then to our final things. I know we have gone over a lot of stuff here, so we're gonna take a quick breath before you dive into just a little bit more. I have a few questions about cats because today has just been completely about cats, and also this GIF just got me. Like, honestly, I was having, like I said, been under the weather like all of us. This GIF really just lifted my spirits. My question to you all: can cats taste sweetness?
No. I don't think so.
Sandy, I'm very happy that you knew that, like right off the bat. That is very good. I had no idea. Yeah, the answer is no. Great for everybody else who had that. I had no idea. I thought everyone's mind was going to be blown on that. Mine was. All right. How about this? Can they run up to 30 miles an hour?
Which cats?
We're going to talk about the general taxonomy of the house cat, because that's what Google provided me on my Google search.
Yes. There's no way house cats can do that.
It is
fast, man.
yes,
Yeah.
they can.
Fast.
They are fast. Little buggers, that's for sure. How about this? Survive falls over 65 feet.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw
Okay,
a
well, you
video
know
on
what?
YouTube on that. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to bring harder questions next time because apparently everyone just like knew this one. Yeah, absolutely, they
That's
can.
a
I thought that
very
was
good
crazy.
shock absorbers.
So can
As
they?
long as it doesn't involve concatenation, I'll be good.
And you are muted for the rest of the lecture.
All the dad jokes and no kids, man.
It's okay. You're keeping them warm for when you do. It's all good.
Well, here's a question: can they sustain 30 miles, or is it from start to maybe a meter away they run 30 miles per hour?
All I saw was maximum. That was their maximum speed ever recorded. So I doubt they can sustain it. It's like humans running at 21 miles an hour. Probably can't sustain it very long, but that's still quite a feat. They're definitely going to get you if they really want you.
Ooh, house cats can't sustain that for a while, but other cats can.
Yeah, all I saw was this is the normal house cat, up to 30 miles an hour. That's the highest recorded. So house cat, general house cat. Oh, so yeah, these are some cat facts. I just love watching that GIF. It's hilarious.
Yeah, cat is awesome.
All right. So we do have a little bit more time left. And like I said in the very beginning, this chapter has a lot of stuff here. So there's a few extra things that I just want to go over just to kind of go through. We're going to get back into CSS here. So when we do CSS or images or anything like that, come on. There we go. So when we do images, CSS, or anything like that, that stuff's going to fall under another directory, not templates, but as you might have seen already in your examples, under static. So we're just going to create a quick file here and call it styles.css. And here, I'm just going to do a very obvious style. We're going to say our body, the whole website is going to be the color, background color, excuse me, background color of aqua, because why not? Let's hope that browser actually accepts that one. So we're gonna have this to the body, the background color of aqua. And what I wanna do now is connect this styles.css. So if I go in my index.html, what I have to do up here is I have to actually connect it. Can someone tell me how we begin connecting CSS into an HTML site?
Link tag.
Very good, link. And then what we need to do for CSS, and I always get these mixed up, is the href. There you go, href. Href. And then inside of here is something new that we haven't seen yet. Also, that href is also something we haven't really seen yet. But this is how we use the power of Thymeleaf here to inject our styles a little bit easier. Inside of these quotes, we put the @ tag, then the brackets, and then styles.css. What this does is that when Thymeleaf compiles all of these extra things, like anything in our static here, it thinks of that as the home directory. So we don't have to go out and put those long names of where our CSS lives now. We can just put it here and Thymeleaf goes out and finds it within reason. So styles.css will live here. It's also common practice to put a slash in front of it, so you might see it like this as well. Then we say rel, and then we say style sheet. Do not forget that rel is style sheet. As a person who forgot about it during their exercise while trying to do it with everybody and having to go on a bunch of Google searches, I completely forgot to add that rel. So do remember to add that because it is a pain in the butt to find the answer for that. Okay, so now we have our CSS linked up into our website. So we're going to go ahead and refresh this. Any questions about what we just did with this link? Remember, don't forget about that th:/href and then the @ tag in front of those curly brackets.
No, will you show what you did in the style CSS though again when you're done?
Say that one more time.
Just show what you wrote in style CSS.
Yeah, for sure. So all I did was the background color of aqua here. So we're gonna come, oh, I didn't save this. We're gonna come back here. We're gonna come to, I was like, what did I do here? Sorry, I forgot one thing there. All right. So going back to styles.css, all I did was the body tag. Remember, if you want to do styles for specific tags, you just put the tag name there. So I say body, and then I want my background color to be aqua. If I want it to be red, I just type in red there, or you can put in the hexadecimal beginning with a hashtag if you want to do that as well. So I refresh that. So any questions about this style sheet or anything like this? This is our CSS we've seen before. Lisa, this might not answer your question, so please correct me if it does not. Static is absolutely an important directory we need to have in our resources. Static will contain our styles, our images, or anything like that that we need for resources. So static is the name that this directory has to be in order for Thymeleaf to find this stuff. So static is absolutely crucial for this directory to be called. So Lisa, can you kind of stem off or tell me a little bit more about, or give me more context about your question?
I just wondered, I understand that you give the @ and then it gets everything before where you're trying to go, everything from static and back, but I just wondered how it finds the path that it has to traverse to get from, say, the SRC folder all the way down to static.
So that's the magic of Thymeleaf. What it's going to do is that it's going to compile this project. It knows that your static folder will be the first folder, will be the first folder inside of your resources. So it will know by the structure of your project the path that it will insert in there. More importantly, remember, this is just a project. This is an unbuilt project we're developing here. This project will get built into a completely new structure that our browsers will understand and our controllers will understand. So to answer your question, it knows it because once it's built, it knows the structure of that built application, and it can deduce where your styles are from there. But again, it can only deduce where your styles are within reason. So what do I mean by that? So if we put a folder in here, and we say new directory, and I say CSS, and then I drag and drop my styles up to here. If I ran this page now, technically it would not be able to find it because it's in a completely another directory now. So I have to go ahead and once this runs, so let's make sure that I can't find it. So I come up here, I refresh, and everything goes back to white here. How I need to fix that is I go back into my index and I put in /CSS here. So I say, hey, it's inside of my static directory. It's in that CSS directory called styles.css, and I want you to link that. Lisa, does that kind of give a better explanation or start to offer some clarity?
Thymeleaf just knows.
In the end, for right now, yes, Thymeleaf just knows. Yeah, it's the best way to accept it as of right now. All I can say is, yeah, trust Thymeleaf. It will find it as long as it's in that static folder.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I come back over here, I refresh, and now it's red again. Yay. All right, so that's styles. Any other question about that? All right, here, I'm trying to think. The last thing I want to do very, very quickly is show you fragments. So let's go ahead and pull up our sleeves here and jump into fragments. So I'm going to right click here, and to start fragments, in the end, let's take a step back. What even are fragments? Fragments, it's kind of what it sounds like. It's a fragment of another web page that we're going to make here in a second that we can inject into other websites. Why would we want to do that? Because we are environmentally friendly as developers. We can recycle certain parts of websites that are fragments into other websites. So we can save ourselves a lot of code. So we can recycle past code into other websites to save us a bit of time and a bit of just basically a bit of development time. It really does help out. So to start doing this, we're gonna say new, and this is where the fun stuff comes in. We're gonna say Thymeleaf, and we're gonna say fragments. .html, and I'm going to correct this because that is not good, Kyle. There we go. And so down here now, inside of my body, I can build some fragments. So in this one, say I always want to welcome my cat people, my cat visitors to my website saying, hello, welcome to my site. So what we have to do is that we have to say th fragment. And then we have to name the fragment. And so in here, I'm gonna just call it welcome. Remember, the name of your fragment cannot have spaces in it. Keep it one word, keep it camel cased. So once we have our fragment in here, we can go over to our index, and now we can just go ahead and place this in here. So instead of having this h1 cats here, what I can do, take out cats, and so I can say th replace, and then I can say fragment, the name of our actual file, and then welcome, did I call it welcome message? Welcome message. Yep, welcome message. So there we go. Now we can replace this h1 with that fragment we just built to save us a little bit of time. Say if we had to insert this in 100 other websites or web pages, excuse me.
You have an extra E in fragment.
I do, thank you. Redo that. I'm absolutely not a strong speller whatsoever, and I've known that ever since 7th grade, where I lost the first round of the spelling bee that everyone in the class had to do to vacuum, and I still to this day cannot spell vacuum. All right, started the web server, come over here, we press refresh, and now we see that my fragment was injected into my site as it was being built here. Now, of course, what we just saw, maybe you would still be confused what its use actually would be, but into the future, you'll see that big chunks of code that you write that you have to use all over your websites can be utilized as fragments to inject them all over your site, so you don't have to duplicate that code everywhere in your HTML. Thus, reducing the time you have to develop as well as the sizes of your HTML documents as a whole. So fragments really, really do help. So any questions about fragments? I know we aren't spending too much time on fragments, but as we move forward, they will be in a lot of examples that we do. So don't feel like this is the last time you're ever going to see them. Any final questions around this, or anything that you, in the last 3 minutes, that anybody would really want to see? Ooh, there's actually one extra bonus thing. The final thing, and just to make sure that if you're not, your head is not filled with enough knowledge after tonight, one more thing I need to show you is that you will see in those examples, as well as in your assignment, things called redirects. So if you're in your controller and you have that post mapping, you can also see it in get mappings too. You have a request parameter called name. You can do something with that code here on this line, and then you might see in your return that redirect and then colon. So this might throw some people off, because it definitely threw me off as I was learning this language. So looking at it, it's like, what does this even mean? So let's go ahead and break this down real quick. We said return redirect colon. So what we don't see here, and what really does kind of confuse some people, is that there's nothing on the other end of that colon. Well, that's because on the other end of that colon goes exactly what directory we want to go to in our website. Now, remember previously in this lecture, we were talking about if we just have an empty string in our get mapping, where do we typically go to? Who can tell me that?
The home site.
The home site, very good. So here, what this is saying is that I want you to redirect me colon to nothing, AKA redirect me to my home site. So it's saying redirect my user to the home at the get mapping. It will go directly to the get mapping for that home directory. Let's take a closer look at what the redirect actually looks like on a normal day basis. It's going to say redirect colon and then where to actually redirect to. In an example, if we wanted to redirect to cats, we'd say redirect to cats. we put cats here instead of blank. So we can actually go to that directory. We're redirecting to that specific URL. Additionally, what if I want to redirect to cat/add_cat? Then I just keep appending there. This is just a quick example of redirect and what it's actually doing in our applications and in our assignment. So after that long blabber fest, we are all finished. So like we said before, it was a lot of material. Right at 7, okay. Thank you very much for sticking it out to the end here. I'm sorry if everyone is just completely done with me today. I completely get that. But I hope you did like Thymeleaf. This means we get to go back into HTML. We get to actually design those websites. So I hope you're excited because I love just designing websites. They're just so much fun. So I hope everyone stays warm. At this time, I'm going to let you all go out into your individual groups. Thank you very much. Remember, 8 o'clock tonight, I'll be back online here to help out with the studio, answer any questions that anyone has. Happy to help out then. So if I don't see you back here at 8, have a great week. I will see you back here on Thursday. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
Kyle.
All right, Kyle. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Take care.
Absolutely.
Hope you
Thanks,
feel
everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.